Ahri is one of the most popular mid lane champions in League of Legends, and it's not hard to understand why. She's got insane burst, incredible CC, and is super mobile. All of these strengths allow her to be played in many different ways, which inherently makes her more appealing to a wider audience. Not only that, but Ahri is one of those champions that are, for the most part, fairly simple to play, but also have a ton of outplay potential in her kit at the same time. This means that you can pick up the champion and start carrying quickly, but there's a ton of room in her kit to start making montage plays and hard carrying games. In today's guide, we're going to teach you how to play like an Ahri main right from the start, going from the basics all the way to the things that most players don't know that you can do on Ahri, which make all the difference. We will kick this off with Ahri's playstyle, into power spikes, combos, tips and tricks, runes, build, and skill order. Jumping straight into her playstyle. When people think of Ahri, they often think of a hyper-mobile assassin, picking off enemy carries throughout the map and in teamfights. And this is one way to play Ahri, but certainly not the only way. Ahri's diversity allows her to carry the game in many different ways. In fact, one of the best ways to play her is to actually fight alongside your team. You don't necessarily need to be fancy to have high impact as Ahri. Standing by your teammates and landing charms on vital targets is one of the more effective ways to play her. The major reason why this backline style is so effective is because of her charm. Charms are one of, if not the strongest forms of CC in the game, and only Ahri, Evelynn, and Rakan have access to it. Let's consider the point of CC in general. Obviously, the idea is to lock down your opponents so that you and your team can damage them for free. The beauty of charm is that it works as a stun, but it's also pulling the opponent even further out of position from their team. Not only are they unable to do anything throughout the charm's duration, but when they come out of it, they'll be even further out of position, resulting in more damage taken. Outside of teamfighting, Ahri has a couple of alternate playstyles in which she can play out a game. One is looking for picks. Once the mid game comes around, make sure that you swap to a sweeper and always have a control ward on hand. A ton of Ahri's damage comes from landing charm. Setting up in Fog of War is a reliable way of landing it on unsuspecting opponents face checking into you. She's also fairly reliable at split pushing. When ahead, she can beat out a ton of split pushing champions with her mobility, and even if she sometimes has some questionable moments, her ultimate enables her to get out of sticky situations, sometimes even picking up a kill on her way out. Alright, jumping into Ahri's power spikes, the first one you should know is at level 3. If you put 2 points into her Q, it allows her to clear the back caster creeps with 2 Qs. This gives Ahri some of the strongest early game wave clear. You can abuse this with a very consistent strategy. Fast push the 4th minion wave with 2 Qs. Then you can take a free recall and you can come back to lane with full health and mana along with an item advantage. This is a great way to get guaranteed leads over your opponents. Her second big power spike comes at level 6. Ahri's biggest problem until then is landing charm reliably against opponents who play well to avoid it. Ahri gains 20% extra damage on her spells when she lands her charm, which is why her ultimate is such a huge power spike. It gives her new ways to reposition in order to land it. Lastly, Ahri's third noteworthy power spike comes at around level 10, where you'll be often completing your GLP. Any first item is a power spike, but GLP is unique for Ahri as it allows her to more consistently land her charm. Landing it is critical for her success, so once you have this item, it makes scoring kills ridiculously easy. Okay, let's jump into some of the combos that you need to know as Ahri. First up is the famous and all-important Charm Flash. The execution of this is really simple. It's literally the name of the combo. Instead of charming after you flash, you press it before instead. By doing it in this order, it cancels your charm's animation, making it come out faster. This is a great way to find angles around obstacles preventing you from landing charm. Your charm will always fly in the direction where your mouse was before you flashed. Basically, if your mouse was initially here, you press E, then flash here. At the end of it all, your charm will always go where your mouse was the second that you pressed E. This is a fantastic combo to know specifically during the lane phase. Ahri has a hard time landing her charm through minions, but you can charm flash to angle the charm past enemy minions for easy kills. Next up is her charm ultimate. This particular combo is used for when you want to hide your charm's animation during an engage. Press charm first, and then R. You'll travel along with your charm, hiding it from view, potentially catching your opponents off guard. Now we'll start to get fancy. Take those 2 previous combos and smack them together for the ultimate charm flash. Press charm, then flash, then your ultimate. The point, just like before, is to animation cancel your charm so it comes out faster, while also hiding it from your opponents with your ultimate's animation. This combo is highly effective, but if you notice, there's a tiny problem with it. Oftentimes when you use it, you'll end up very close to your opponents, so after you charm, they'll be right on top of you. Throwing Q here means that it'll take a while for the return damage. This usually won't matter, but it may give certain champions time to get out of your charm and avoid the true damage part of your Q on the way back. So we take the previous combo another step further for your surprise burst combo. We know by now that you can animation cancel with Charm Flash, but you can also do it with Q as well in the same way. Ahri is one of the unique champions in the game where you can animation cancel two abilities at the same time with Flash. Get ready, you need fast fingers for this one. Press E and Q, then Flash, then your ultimate. Doing it this way makes it so that your Q flies out before your ultimate, guaranteeing that both parts of the damage go off. This combo is especially useful versus champions that you don't want to give a single moment to recover, like Echo with his R. Alright, now we'll dive into the tips and tricks that only Ahri mains know to make your life a lot easier. First up is canceling dashes. Riot removed this a while back since it was so powerful, but gave it back to Ahri when she wasn't performing too well. If you time your charm correctly, then you cancel enemy dashes, leaps, and jumps midway through. This interaction makes the Ahri LeBlanc matchup famous in particular. If Ahri reacts quickly enough to charm her W, it actually cancels out the damage entirely, often winning Ahri the lane outright. Next, keep in mind that Ahri's W orbs are heat-seeking missiles that orbit around her. While they may have the same range as her, if they're behind her, they won't fire until they themselves are in range of the target. Try to keep this in mind whenever you're looking to burst someone. While Ahri can maintain her distance, you may want to get up close and personal to fire off all your W orbs immediately onto your opponent. Also keep in mind that the orbs prioritize Ahri's charm target, or the last target that she auto-attacked. To make sure she gets full value, always make sure that you auto-attack as you press W, so there's no damage wasted on minions during the laning phase. Next up is a small tip for landing both parts of your Q. Keep in mind that your Q will always go back to you, not where you threw it from. One of the main uses of Ahri's ultimate is being able to reposition to guarantee that her return damage lands. Doing so is incredibly easy. Once you throw out your Q, there's a really big delay as it turns around. Use this time to think about where you'll want to reposition towards so that your lane opponent is in the middle, setting up the return true damage much more consistently. If you incorporate your flash into this, you can get some Q return angles that would never be possible with just your ultimate. During the laning phase though, you usually don't have access to your ultimate, and landing charm is very inconsistent with so many minions in the way. With Q being your main form of harass, you'll need to find ways to ensure that you land both parts of the damage. A very simple trick for this is to position at max range from your opponents in lane, then look for opportunities to throw out your Q. Since it's max range, if it lands, then the outgoing and return damage go off at the same time. This is an all or nothing approach to landing your Q as Ahri. If they dodge the initial Q, you'll miss all the damage, but if not, you'll land all of it. This is a great method to use when your opponent will be predictably stationary, such as when they're going for a last hit. As for your Q's passive, you're definitely going to want to optimize how much you heal from it. Always try to use it on a full wave so that it hits both going out and coming back in for a total of 12 ticks of healing, or 14 during a cannon wave. During the laning phase, when you might be scared to walk up to the wave, you can always chuck a Q at the raptor camp for some free healing. As the lane progresses, this heal will really start to power up as you get some AP. There's even a little trick here to maximize your healing. Line up your Q like this, throw it out, then walk a bit to the right, then back to the left. This just ensures that you proc your Q as much as possible on the chickens. Our final tip is an important one for Ahri's ultimate. There's often times where you won't need all of your ultimate charges for a kill. If you know for certain that you don't need them anymore, then you should use your remaining charges as quickly as possible. This is because your ultimate only goes on cooldown after you've used all charges. By sitting on charges, you'll have to wait longer for it to come off of cooldown. Alright, let's finish this off with what you'll want to build on Ahri. For your skill order, go Q, E, Q, W for your first 4 levels, then prioritize maxing R, then Q, then W, and finally E. As for items, there's 2 different builds that you can run on Ahri, the Glacial Path or the Burst Path. You'll want to run the Glacial build whenever you see a lot of immobile, squishy champions on the enemy team. Along with your GLP, you'll have a devastating slow, making your charm a breeze, allowing you to pick up a ton of easy kills. For the Glacial Path build, rush GLP as your first item. Afterwards, build Twin Shadows for more slowing capabilities, followed by Liandry's Torment, which synergizes with all the slows you'll have. Then just finish off your build with situational AP items based on what you're fighting against. As for the runes you'll run with this build, just go a standard Glacial Augment build. Make sure that you run the item CDR rune in the domination tree. It's critical to run this rune so you can spam out your GLP as often as possible with this build. We don't really recommend running that build when the enemy team has a lot of mobility tools though. Slows are less effective against champions with blinks, dashes, etc. In those cases, you'll want to run a more burst-oriented build. Your first item will still be GLP. We recommend this over Luden's Echo since even without Glacial Augment, it can help you land your charm. Then you'll go Oblivion Orb and Sorcerer's Shoes for flat magic pen to burst squishy targets. Finally, finish off your build with situational AP items based on what you need in your specific game. For this particular build, you'll want to run this Electrocute page to maximize your burst potential. So you may have noticed our sweet Spirit Blossom design for today's guide. That's all thanks to our collaborations we've been doing with our friends at Riot's LoLEsportsla. Definitely check them out to watch the guides we've made together if you speak Spanish. And don't forget, if you're serious about improving at League of Legends, then you have to check out Skillcapped. We create over 10 brand new guides every week that are just like this one. We also have a direct pro video coaching service along with an improvement guarantee when actively using Skillcapped. Be sure to sign up and start climbing today. And that's going to do it for today's guide on how to play Ahri. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.